I eat like a can of chickpeas almost every day.
You're probably fine with the
Everybody in my programs knows that I'm a chickpea-aholic. So my point of that was now there's Hey, Empowered Vegan Lifers. Ella here with myself. But don't worry, because you are in for a giant treat today. I was so honored to sit down with Dr. Laurie Marbas, Dr. Michael Klaper, and Dr. Kristina Miller. They are co-founders of Plant-Based Telehealth, which has the mission of making plant-based lifestyle medicine available to everyone who desires it. Telemedicine is really cool. These extraordinary physicians are removing the barriers that prevent many people from accessing this type of care. They practice lifestyle medicine. Their services are available in 47 states, and they're about to increase that number with the addition of 2 new doctors, and they work with clients around the globe as well. I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried to find a plant-based doctor, especially one in your area, you probably know that it's difficult, even impossible in a lot of places. Even in Miami, it's really tough. You know, I live in a major city and it's tough. Well, you don't have to look any further, Empowered Vegan Lifers. Just head on over to their website, plantbasedtelehealth.com, where you can schedule an appointment today. And I'm going to put their complete, incredibly impressive bios in the show notes. So I'm not going to go through them all right now. They are extensive, but you're about to witness for yourself their level of expertise, professionalism, passion, and compassion that make Dr. Marbas, Dr. Miller, and Dr. Klaper extraordinary telemedicine physicians who are changing and saving lives all over the world with their work. So I won't make you wait. Let's just dive right in. Thank you guys all for being here. I cannot believe that I have all 3 of you here. This is so exciting. Thank you. I'm so honored that you can make it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Nice to be here.
Well, I love to start with a little icebreaker. So I've got 3 questions, and I want to go around and have you all answer them, kind of the first thing that comes to your mind, if that's cool with you.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, so we'll go around in a little circuit here. So first one, we'll make it an easy one. What's a food you love so much that you could eat it every day for the rest of your life? Dr. Marbas.
That's easy. Blueberries. I've eaten them probably every day for the last 10 years. I've even put signs in the refrigerator telling my children to stay away from them. So it can get serious around here. Blueberries, yeah.
Love it. Dr. Miller?
Mine is actually blueberries too. So I hate to take hers.
Wow.
I don't get quite as violent if someone eats them though, but I've thought a lot about this and I love them too. So frozen, fresh, yep.
Dr. Klaper?
Quinoa and kale. Put one on the other, and I'm a happy guy. I could eat that all day. I just love that.
Amazing. Love it. Okay, number 2. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Dr. Marbas?
Oh, well, I wanted to be a doctor actually since the age of 10. My sister was very ill. She was 6 years younger than me, and a doctor made her much better after she had surgery, and I was hooked. I love the smell of hospitals. It was really bizarre, but it worked. So here I am.
Here you are. Amazing. Dr. Miller?
Well, I was torn between 2 things. I wanted to be in healthcare. I knew that. And because I also liked helping sick people get better. But I also was looking at marine biology. So I had majored in biology and I did a whole bunch of rotations in it and I studied it and I thought I would become a professor. So, but it wasn't enough to devote my life to it. I wanted to devote my life to people more. So that's why I ended up choosing medicine.
Beautiful. Dr. Klaper?
Oh, I always knew I was going to be a doctor since I was a little kid. On my uncle's farm, I was the kid who always wanted everybody to be okay. And when there was any injured animal, I'd try and patch him up. It was just in my spirit as early as I can remember. But I've been fascinated by aviation. I thought of becoming a pilot and wound up doing both, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love flying airplanes. I'd fly all day if I could. So So, but I'm a doctor in my soul, and that's the way I'll end this life.
So cool. All right. One more. If you could choose any person from history, past or present, to be your imaginary friend, who would it be and why?
I can answer that first because I've thought about it.
Okay.
Mine would be Michelle Obama because I just think she's cool, and I always thought if I could meet anyone that and hang out with them, and that would be her.
Love it.
I would have to say Jesus because
Oh.
honestly, he has the wisdom that I need all the time. So I would be, yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Be a cool imaginary friend.
Mhm.
Oh boy, I'd love to hang out with Hippocrates and see how things look through his eyes, what I know now. And he'd be interesting guy to have dinner with, no doubt.
Oh, wow. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's get started. And I'd love to hear from you guys. First of all, I want to hear the whole story of how your plant-based telehealth came to be. But could we talk a little bit about what lifestyle medicine really is? What that's all about, how it's different than conventional medicine, for our listeners to really understand what it is that you guys specialize in. And I'll let whoever wants to, feels like they can answer, I won't call names.
Dr. Marbas, you can tell about how it started.
Yeah, sure. So lifestyle medicine is basically where the physician brings in traditional, medications and things as needed, but the primary focus and goal is to help people stay well and get well. So that would be including nutrition, working on stress, your relationships, exercise, all of these things that we know we should do, but sometimes we don't know how to get started, or even what's the best way to maybe eat, or maybe, is there another way I can deal with my stress other than, starting medication. So that's kind of where we intervene and bring them both together. It's a very powerful tool. And it's a tool that we've seen amazing turnarounds with patients. It's really fun to do. Patients, our goal is to get you well so you don't need us anymore. That's my goal anyway, it's my mantra. And that's really what lifestyle medicine is. It's kind of just bringing together all those things that just make a life worth thriving. And I don't think people understand what it's like to feel normal anymore. We're so used to not feeling well that when you do feel well, people are like, oh, I like it. So yeah.
Yes. So you're trying to put yourself out of a job.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Understood. And how is it different than integrative medicine? And Dr. Miller, that was one of your areas. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of it is terminology, and a lot of it there are some differences. Integrative medicine was kind of founded time ago. I don't know exactly when, but Andrew Weil kind of made that famous, integrating the best of Eastern medicine. So things like using diet, using mind-body work, acupuncture, meditation, herbs, with the best of Western medicine. So still using regular medicine when needed it, right? Diagnostic testing and medications if needed. So integrative medicine integrated both of them. And that's kind of how it first got that term. And that was many years ago, before there was such a thing as lifestyle medicine. But integrative medicine does a lot of the same things. It's going back to traditional medicine, and to say what Dr. Klaper just said, using Hippocrates, right? Using food as medicine is a big thing, and using mind body, working on stress and movement and lifestyle. So it's got a lot of the same components. And integrative medicine still will use things like, okay, you're having stress, or you have sore this or that, let's try acupuncture, let's try some of these other tools are still a part of integrative medicine. So I like to say that I'm a lifestyle medicine practitioner, but I definitely use integrative tools. So I'm all for trying these other things. And I know, like, for myself as a patient, as well as for many of my own patients, our minds, our stress is really a big deal and can often limit our healing, even if we're doing all these super healthy things. So the mind-body tricks that I call mind-body Jedi tricks, that they're really important. And that's kind of integrative medicine that we use some of those things, but it's really kind of the same now. For me, it's all blending together, sort of.
Got it. Cool. All right. So how did this plant-based telehealth come to be? Tell us Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind it and what it is?
Yeah. Well, that would be Anthony and myself, Anthony Masiella, who is my business partner. We started that conversation in probably January 2019. I had already been working in telemedicine for a couple of years and was finding that that's a great platform to actually use lifestyle medicine. People are very receptive and it was really exciting and fun. And Anthony goes, Laurie, we should start our own. I was like, you're crazy. And so I was like, it's a lot of work and it's a lot. And he persisted and we started planning and I got to a point where I could leap, and we spent a lot of time with the lawyers and legal stuff and figuring it all out. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out a good name. And we came up with Plant-Based Telehealth, and it's been a really crazy and fun ride. And Dr. Miller and Dr. Klaper joined us right out of the gate, which was amazing. And we're bringing on more doctors in the next few months. We'll probably bring on at least 2 to 3 more doctors. And we are in 47 states. We have patients from around the world as well. We do see folks internationally. And it's just been a wonderful experience to allow us to, present to the world a different way of taking care of chronic disease and, staying well, getting well. And it's just been a lot of fun.
How amazing is it that this happened a year before?
We just happened to launch with COVID.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Incredible. And Dr. K, how did you come on board?
Well, I had been doing telemedicine for years, just private consults, and it's a pretty fluid medium for me. It's a form of teaching, which I enjoy anyway. But as things started crystallizing into official self, especially telemedicine, and COVID, for all its catastrophes, it had a couple of hidden gifts tucked away inside this strange entity, and one of them was the rise of telemedicine. And then when I heard what Dr. Marbas was doing, and I got an invitation from her, I said, "Thank you." Right? Just this all fell into place with the universe giving me the big go for it. And with colleagues like this, how can I refuse? Just a joy to do this kind of medicine. So it's exciting to be on the cutting edge of something so transformational. We help so many people, and I did a consultation with someone in Poland yesterday, and Australia the week before, and lots of folks around the States. It's a wonderful thing. You get to meet so many people in so many wonderful ways, and you can really save somebody's life with an appropriate. When you really listen to what they're saying, you need to get to the emergency room now. And we've had a couple of those incidents. So it's just a remarkable feature of the 21st century. And fortunately, I've got wonderful human faces to put on the screen here with me.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I love when I'm listening to you guys talk is about the listening and just how well you listen and what a skill that is, and how the patient will tell you what's going on if you really listen. Can you talk to that a little bit?
I had a professor in med school said, if you just shut up and listen to the patient, 90% of the time they're telling you the diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And if you keep on listening, they'll tell you what treatment they need too. People are in touch with them. And so much of healing is just listening to people. People need to be heard. It's the complaint of the modern age. Nobody listens to me. Well, we're here to listen. And you also get some very important medical clues, medical information. How you can really help people. Another professor said medicine is 10% science and 90% common sense. Just listen to what they're saying, and you can make some good suggestions. So telemedicine lends itself just beautifully to this person-to-person interface, even though it's virtual. It's very authentic in its way, and so I really enjoy the medium.
You guys have been doing this a long time in terms of just your professions. Is there any themes that have seemed to come up more and more in today's society? I just think of the people that I speak with and that I work with. Sleep seems to be a huge one. Problem sleeping, thyroids. I don't know if that's something that's gotten worse, or I'm just noticing more, but are there any themes like that that might have some causes, lifestyle causes that you're noticing?
Well, you pointed out two big ones, so that's absolutely true. Definitely sleep. It affects everything. And I always think of sleep as a symptom of how you're doing otherwise in your life. So if you're not sleeping, what's going on in your life? How much exercise, movements, stress, are you, and what are you eating? You know, those things do affect, all of that affects sleep and medications. So that's a big one. But another really big one that I know we're all seeing is GI stuff. So people aren't digesting as well anymore. They're having all sorts of gut issues, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, you know, so much with the gut. And even on a plant-based diet, that doesn't instantly clear up. And if we don't do it the right way, then people don't tolerate that. And so, and as we now know, the gut is the gateway to our health, right? So if our guts are out of whack, then we're going to have all sorts of things, from localized gut issues to inflammation to mental health things. So the gut is a big thing that we all deal a lot with, and help people get that kind of in control. And I would say another big thing that has been around for a long time, but I feel like it's such a big deal, is stress. Like it really affects people's ability to heal. And just again, when we're listening to our patients, I can feel their stress. I can hear like how much they're worrying about things and caregiving and finances and so much going on right now. And I can feel that in them. And then when I ask, well, what do you do to unwind? They're like, well, nothing. And so, or, you know, maybe they do a little something. So I always build programs for that as well. So we have to make sure their gut's functioning well, that their stress is being dealt with. And then whatever, medical issue, you know, we're doing that, but those have been some things I've noticed.
What about stress and weight loss? So many of our listeners are really struggling to lose weight and keep it off. Is stress, would you say that's a big factor there too, or?
Yes, and for many reasons, it definitely is. So for one, people, when you're stressed out, you may stress eat. So it may increase bad choices, emotional eating, eating for comfort, eating for loneliness, eating because it's coronavirus and we can't go anywhere, right? We're home all day with the food. So stress definitely affects that. It affects your sleep. So if you're stressed out and you're not sleeping, then that is gonna, not only is it when you're tired, you make poor decisions and you might overeat, it also affects your hormones, your ghrelin and your leptin. So you may feel hungrier just because you didn't sleep and you're stressed out, you're feeling hungrier. And same thing with stress. When the stress hormone, the stress response in our bodies is there for fight or flight. So if you're feeling chronic stress, your body's in fight or flight. So it increases the blood glucose. So you could run from some animal that's chasing you. And so that is going to want you to keep eating. Sometimes carbohydrate rich foods are comfort foods. So for many reasons. And then also the cortisol, as we know, can help it deposit the fat a little bit more in different areas that we may not want, such as the belly. So there's a lot of reasons that stress plays a role. So trying to get to the root cause of the stress, or techniques like getting outdoors and laughing and exercise. So people like you, that's right up your alley to help with that. It's a big thing to help with stress. And eating good food that are non-stressful type foods on your body is all very important. So yeah, that's a great question.
Now, what about GMOs and just the quality of our food and the depletion of the nutrients in our soils, and how is that affecting our health now?
Well, when you ask, what are the major issues? Certainly, I was going to say, food, is the dominant chord here, and what food has become. We are plant-based telehealth. We were trying to get people to eat whole plants that grow out of the ground, and 90% of your health problems are going to disappear. But today, food's become an entertainment medium, and it's become so distorted and processed and made so unhealthy, where it's just concentrated fat and sugar and salt, and people just slather it on their tongues, and they wind up with health problems, high blood pressure and diabetes. And the society is so anti-health in its way, where I had a patient with an eating issue, a food issue, says, if you were a drug addict and there were signs everywhere that said cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, it would be tough to be someone with a drug problem. But yet, if you're someone with a food problem, wherever you look, there are burgers and fried chicken, pizza, it's just constantly in your face, these unhealthy foods. And so the cues keep getting set off in your head. And by far and away, the major problem people talk to me about, at least, is keep falling off the wagon, doc. I know what I should eat, but I can't do it. And my family isn't on board. And there's donuts at work, and I just don't have the willpower to eat healthy. This is an overarching problem that all our patients face. So, and yes, along the way there's, the soils, have been depleted. We've not been treating the earth very kindly. But it's this layer of marketing and hyper palatability and food seduction that I find is the biggest problem to overcome. And we have to, and the weight thing, if you just keep your belly full of whole plant foods, the weight thing pretty much disappears. But again, it's getting people to make that step. And so we're plant-based telehealth. That's what we try to do.
Yeah, I find that there's so many people that say, I know what I'm supposed to do generally, so why am I not doing it? What do you do for people that come to you that maybe don't have, luckily a serious health problem yet, but they know that they're not doing, eating what serves them? How do you help those people?
I would say you start with what they can do, right? So we're big fans of meeting people where they're at. So you have that conversation of what do they think is going on, and you dive a little deeper. And so you start small with a big fan of behavioral design to help people understand why they're doing what they're doing, habit loops, that type of thing, but also designing their environment and preparing for inevitable, temptations or cues that are going to make them make poor choices. And so what is going on in their life that's allowing them or pushing them to make those poor choices? And then what type of choices do they want? Because you really can't help someone if they don't want to be helped. So, sometimes we'll have patients say, I want to do this, but honestly, there's something more deeper. Maybe there's depression or anxiety, or there's stress in a family relationship or stress at work. And maybe we need to worry about that first, and then it'll be easier to worry about, what type of food choices you're making. So I really think that's really where we have to begin, is like, what is the core reason of why you're making these poor choices? And why I started my podcast was because honestly, I was like, why are you able to lose 200 pounds eating a plant-based diet when you were 400 pounds before? And this person can't lose 20 and make better choices. And they have diabetes and horrible, diseases that would encourage them to eat better. So that's at least what I've learned over the last several years.
That makes a lot of sense. Are there myths or mistakes that people make very commonly when they come to you saying, I'm trying to make this transition, but I don't seem to be getting all the benefits that everyone else is saying? Are there certain maybe mistakes that people make as they're trying to make this transition that you see common?
Yeah, I would say, we're all just waiting for someone to respond. I would say definitely some of the more common, if they're not understanding of nutrition, they think that anything that's labeled vegan in the freezer section or the grocery store, or it says plant-based, is healthy. These are transitional foods at best. And, things like, and I'm not saying that we don't have a place for a Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger or some of these other elements of, they're still processed foods. They're not real whole foods. And so I think that people think that by eating that, they're making healthier choices, but that's not always the case. Or they laden, they'll just pour oil all over something, or something because it came from a plant, it must be healthy. And like, well, it's still processed. So I think, understanding that process is just as unhealthy as maybe eating, meat and dairy products. And so that's really important to lay that out and that foundation. But sometimes those foods are important for transition, because otherwise people would really struggle to actually make a healthier transition. So that's okay too, but we usually put a deadline, at least I do, to say, okay, we can do that for a little bit, but our ultimate goal is this. And otherwise they'll never really realize the true health that they could have, which is sad.
Yeah, I think that's so important too. Like the difference between somebody coming in who has an acute, like a cancer that there's a difference, I assume, that you treat somebody who's got something very serious versus somebody who's maybe not as serious and can have a little more leeway in terms of the transition foods. Who comes to you that you say, okay, this is something that we got to skip those transition foods. This is serious. Are there people that you make that kind of advice for?
We have lots of people with diabetes, a lot of people on insulin, and we really want to get them off it. So it's one of the greatest joys in medicine to say, you no longer have diabetes, and stop the medication. And these folks really need to get on a whole food plant-based diet, but if they keep eating the sugar and the oils, even the vegan junk foods, it keeps them stuck. And so certainly the folks with the blood sugar problems, they have to get on with it already. And the folks with the bad artery disease, as Dr. Esselstyn has made clear, you can melt away those plaques, but your arteries they're never not looking. They know everything you eat. There's no cheating on your arteries. And every meal makes a difference. They're either going to make your arteries healthier or they're going to make them more inflamed. And so the folks having the angina, they're this far away from a stroke or a heart attack. They got to get on with it as well. And so those two folks, we're pretty directive as far as helping them get on with their evolution of food.
Okay, can we talk about oil for a moment? How do we feel about oil? Are there any healthier oils, in your opinions? Ideally, I mean, I know that no oil would be ideal, right? But how important is it? And are there differences in the types of oils? What are your recommendations there?
Well, you're looking at people who, none of us, I believe, really promote oil. And that's because we are using food as medicine as physicians. We're looking to optimize people's health. If we're trying to reverse a chronic illness, then it really takes taking nutrition to the next level. So we really want to push it. And so that definitely means for our patients that we take the oil out. And at least for most of them, unless you're meeting someone like where Laurie said, you're meeting them where they are, and that's the best you can get for the time being. But in general, because certain things like diabetes, the extra fat is going to prevent them from getting off that insulin, which that is our goal, right? It's going to prevent them from reversing their process. For autoimmune disease, it's going to increase inflammation at the gut level and increase what's called lipopolysaccharides throughout the body and inflammatory markers. And it's going to inhibit their ability to improve their autoimmune condition. For heart disease, Dr. Esselstyn did some good data, his studies, there was no oil in that, and that it can affect your ability of your blood to dilate after squeezing the blood pressure. And so the oil affects the chronic illness. So I definitely take it out when I'm working with people to reverse their illness. And a lot of people are trying to lose weight, and it's just it's all the extra fat. It's going to sabotage them. So it's not something that is part of the healing plan. I would say the only exception is if I have tiny people who have no health issues and are really tiny and choose to have just a touch of an oil, I would then recommend a good cold pressed olive oil. But that's only I very rarely do recommend that. So most of my patients that are seeing me, or they're striving for optimal health or weight loss, or we're reversing a process, and then we definitely want to do no oil. So that's kind of how I recommend it.
And salt and sugar and flour, are those on the same level?
Yes, for me they are. And kind of specific, a little bit like sometimes people will agree on a little bit of sprinkling of salt if that makes it taste better for them. But some people are really sensitive to it, with their blood pressure. So we're also monitoring them. But if that's what it takes to help them get that little bit in, we might do that. And flour is a big thing. Actually, that one of the myths when you're asking about that, there's all these plant-based wonderful recipes out there these days. And I get myself sucked into looking at how delicious these recipes look. And we're taking things like you take your oats and you grind them and then you bake it in the oven and with these apples, and you make this delicious or you make pancakes out of them, and right. But once we've ground the oats, it's no longer a whole grain. Now it's flour, and it's going to act like sugar at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So a healthy person can get away with that maybe once every so often. But a person who's reversing a chronic illness or has extra inflammation, this is going to be pro-inflammatory. And people with food addictions or weight loss, they may wonder why I'm not losing weight on a plant-based diet. And a plant-based diet is a whole food plant-based diet. That's what we're teaching. And that doesn't mean grinding your oats. That means eating the whole oats, and ideally as oat groats or steel cut oats. The more whole, the better that they are. So that flour is definitely, even whole grain flours is something that is not a whole food part of a healing plan, but maybe more of a treat every now and then.
Got it. No, this is really good because a lot of our listeners are kind of at that stage of trying to fine tune, right? So they're saying, I love chickpeas. By the way, can I just ask, can I overeat chickpeas? Is there such thing as too many chickpeas? Because I eat a lot of chickpeas. I eat like a can of chickpeas almost every day.
You're probably fine with the
Everybody in my programs knows that I'm a chickpea-aholic. So my point of that was now there's all these different chickpea pastas and lentil pastas, and they have the protein, higher protein, but what you're saying, Dr. Miller, is that still flour.
So the pastas actually fall in between a flour and the actual chickpeas. So they're not quite as high of a glycemic load. So people can get away with a little bit more of that. But ideally, if someone's trying to lose weight or not their healthiest self and trying to optimize health, go for the chickpeas. But if you're super healthy and you enjoy some pasta, and truthfully, not all of us can be perfect all the time. And if we make these programs so strict, unless we're healing something, then we want to enjoy pasta. So enjoy the pasta and eat it with a salad, and it's perfect. That's a perfect meal.
Okay, cool. I like that. One thing I noticed though is when I can eat a can of chickpeas and I'm stuffed, like I'm, for hours and hours, I am good to go. I've got energy. I eat nice and slowly and chew my food to a paste, which made a huge difference. Make a smoothie in your mouth before you swallow it. That made a huge difference in my life. And I think that might've been something you said, Dr. K. But what I find though, is if I can eat a whole box of the Bonza pasta, and in an hour or two, I'm hungry again. Does that make sense? Because it's already.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Which is interesting.
That's perfect proof of it. Exactly right there.
All right.
And what Dr. Miller said is just so right on that you don't want people to feel like they're in nutritional jail. And if you're already as lean as you are, Ella, if once a week you want to have some chickpea pasta with a nice marinara sauce, by all means enjoy that. Food should be a joyous, nourishing event, not an anxiety-producing ordeal there. So yes, that's you're just talking mostly about weight loss, folks. Yeah, that's correct.
Make a conscious choice and then enjoy it, so you don't then go through the whole guilt factor and make things worse, compound the problem. Yes, got it. Okay, so what would somebody do if they are interested in getting an appointment? What does the process look like to work with you guys?
Sure. So they would first go to plantbasedtelehealth.com, and they're literally on the first page is a patient portal invitation request. And so they would put in their email, what state they're in, and send that off. And then Anthony is one in everything. He's the CEO, CEO, whatever. He's done everything. He'll send you an email invitation, which allows you to create an account with us. And that allows you to create a very HIPAA compliant patient portal where you'll communicate with us. That's where the actual appointment occurs. That's where you request appointments. You'll fill out all the forms that are required to create a patient-doctor relationship. And depending on what state you are physically going to be in at the time of the appointment, you would choose which physician you'd like to see. So, Dr. Miller, Dr. Klaper, and myself are licensed in different states. And the two docs that we're bringing on shortly are also licensed in different states. So that'll just need to be mindful of that. International patients, there's also under the information tab, there's some instructions on how to request that. It's a little bit different. But then they request the appointment and we set it up, and we'll see you in the patient portal, and hopefully take care of any needs that you have.
Nice. And I saw the appointments are 30 minutes. And the more it seems that people fill out the forms thoroughly, that you'll review it and make more.
Yes.
Yes.
Before, because, there is a limited time. And the reason we ask you to fill out all that information beforehand so that we can look into it first and then make the most of our time together, because that's really important. And the beautiful thing is that, I see a lot of diabetics. I'd say about 95% of my patients are diabetics. And we have, the ability to do what we call CGMs, or continuous glucose monitors. We can monitor those online. And so everything is just right there. It's a lot of fun, and it's an amazing platform. And I mean, who doesn't want to connect with these guys? I mean, come on. So, it's funny though, because I have a patient like, well, I couldn't see Dr. Klaper, so I guess I'll see you. I'm like, okay. So, I learned to, just appreciate that. And so at least I'm second choice. But, but that is really fun. And then people are like, I can see these amazing doctors. Like, just yesterday we got a message from someone's like, I can't wait to see Dr. Miller. She's so incredible. And I'm like, yes, I understand that. That's wonderful. And so, it's really fun to allow doctors to have the ability to see these patients from all over the place, because the brick and mortar kind of limits who you see. You may not have enough patients to sustain a lifestyle medicine practice in, rural Montana, but I can see patients from all over the country. Like this evening, I have patients from east to west coast. That's a regular occurrence, and it's a lot of fun. So, but that's how it's a if there is a little hiccup, please let us know. We're still working on the technical stuff, but we're still young. We've been around for about 9 months now, so we're super excited how we're growing. But again, we're always looking to improve.
No, I think it's extraordinary what you're doing, the service you provide, all of you as doctors yourselves. And even in Miami, I mean, I'm in Miami, and I'm trying to, I try to find a plant-based doctor here, and I'm in a major city, and I really can't. So I think I might be one of your next patients. How about that?
Well, I'm in West Palm Beach. I'm just north of you. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you.
I'll be glad to help any way I can.
Oh, perfect. Amazing. Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, and just you're beautiful people. And I'm so honored that you came on the show.
Oh, thank you for having us, Elle. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you. Lovely interview.
Thank you so much for what you're doing too, spreading the word and helping people and setting an example. So thank you.
Very important.
Thank you. All right. Cool. Awesome, you guys. Thank you. That was so amazing.
Thank you. Lovely interview. You did a beautiful job.
Yeah, super fun.
And as Kit said, it's important to get this information out. And so we really appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I will be emailing you with all the details and the date and the links and all of that stuff, so we can all share it together.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm reading your website, which I love. I love your story and your website and everything that you're doing. Like, I want to sign up for it so I can get fit like you are. But so you said that you've been working on it for like 8 years, like your website and your blog, but you're 23 years old. So did you start this when you were 15?
Yeah,
I turned 40 this year. Yeah.
Oh, so you're not 23. You
I am not.
That.
Oh,
okay.
No. That was 23 years. I've been vegan since I was 15. So
I was
25
trying to
years.
understand this relation. I'm like,
Oh, okay,
I don't
yeah.
understand how she's been doing this for so many years, but she's so young.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you're 40,
Yes.
so that's how you've been doing it. Okay.
Yes. I've been vegan since I was 15, vegetarian since I was 7. I'm 40 this year.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
it. I
So
love
now,
it.
yes, I've been around. And I didn't know you were in West Palm, Dr. K.
Yeah, right. So
Oh
I've
my
got a Florida license. I'll be glad to look after you. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to get in touch.
I will. I do strive. I've had insomnia for 15 years and I've never gotten a cure for it. So, I mean, I deal with it and I have medical marijuana. That's what I use at night. But I love to figure out the root. So
He's your man.
Yeah.
Well, if I can help, let me know.
You can. I know you can. Okay,
Right.
Excellent. Thank you guys.
Thank you. If you ever need anything from any of us, please don't hesitate. Let us know.
I will. I will. Same here. And whatever
Yeah.
else I can do to spread your message, I'm here to do it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.